Greetings, everybody. Jay Haig at Living Without Lust, back with you on our series of leadership videos on a variety of subjects. These are a group of videos that will help you as leaders to become effective resource people in the area of sexual brokenness and addiction recovery so that you can help others. So today our subject is building relationships with sexual addiction ministry leaders. Now, who are these relationships? There are primarily three groups of people whom you would like to build relationships with, and they are people who are in recovery themselves, who have been through it and who are sober and working the 12 steps and are beginning to find greater freedom from the obsession and the compulsion of lust. Secondly, are ministry leaders. These are people who are engaged either full-time or part-time in this whole ministry. They may have organizations that do things, hold conferences, or have groups for men or women. These are people to network with also. But especially, we'd like to have you network with therapists in your area to whom you can send people who are struggling in this whole area. So the first thing I want to say to you about interacting with these three kinds of people is it takes time. It takes time, but the time is well worth it. And you want to have this done in advance. In other words, you don't want to have several people coming to you for help and all of a sudden you're catching up to try to find these kinds of resources. It's good to do this in advance at a slow and steady pace because it takes time to build relationships. And you're going to have to reach out and to contact these folks and begin to learn from them. And you will have a great benefit. One of the benefits to you, if you're a pastor or a ministry leader of some kind, is that the more you do this, the more you're going to become known as somebody who's open to helping people who struggle with lust, pornography, etc. And the fact is, unfortunately, many pastors are just not open to this. They want to push people to the side, feel like they're out of the race, and move on with others who they consider to be winners. But if you become known as somebody who will help, spend time with, care about those who are involved in the struggle, you're going to find that people will begin to come to you and to ask you for help. And the third thing is that you also will benefit because your understanding of the gospel and how it reaches deeply into the souls of people is going to increase as you get to know these people and you get to know not only their struggles, but their victories and their spiritual growth. So how do we do this? How do we begin to get involved in all this? As I mentioned, it's a slow process, and you're going to have to be proactive. I would say that the average Christian leader ought to have 4 or 5 accomplished therapists who understand sexual brokenness and addiction to whom they can send people. You're going to need both male and female therapists depending on who the person is. A lot of time women will go to women, men will go to men, but that will not always be the case in the case of a professional therapist. You want to have groups. Sometimes people come out of different Protestant denominations or Catholic denominations, Catholic Church, and you'll want to have maybe a therapist who's sympathetic to either one of those traditions. But the main thing is to begin to interview those people. I've already mentioned sexhelp.com. That's a good place to start. You go on there, you can set the geography and find out who is a therapist, and you can begin to talk to them. Secondly, you can also ask the people who are in recovery, because most people in recovery who are taking it seriously have had therapy of some kind, and they will be able to tell you their experiences with therapists and whether they had a good experience or not. So that's a good way to invest your time, is to begin to talk to therapists and begin to develop a team of people that you can send people to who are having difficulty. The second thing is that ministry leaders. Now, ministry leaders are going to be people who are in your area who are either devote some of their ministry or the focus of their ministry to helping people that struggle. It's good to sit down with them because they can recommend all kinds of things to you. They can recommend therapists. They can recommend books, CDs, etc., DVDs for you to watch, links to various sites and so on. They can also tell you about meetings in the area, 12-step meetings, other kinds of meetings that may be helpful to people, and they can tell you what's going on. If you don't have someone in your congregation who is an individual who's in recovery, it might be good to ask those ministry leaders who you should talk to, because it may be that some of these lay people have connections that you can take advantage of as you begin to refer people out. So what you want to do, as I said, is you want to get 5 or 6 therapists. You want to meet with ministry leaders in your area. Ask people in recovery who those ministry leaders might be. And you want to have some people who are actually in recovery that you can turn to. If you have those 3 things in place, if you're willing to network with those kinds of people, you're going to become known as somebody who's compassionate, who understands this problem, the extent of it, and you can build some kind of ministry to those that struggle in this area. So that's the 6th in our leadership series. Again, if you have questions about any of that, please feel free to send me an email, j@livingwithoutlust.com. Again, there are more resources on our website, livingwithoutlust.com. Make sure you also know about that every February in Jacksonville we have a men's conference, and there's more information about that will appear on the website as we get closer. Have a great day.